The night it all began was quiet, except for the slow hum of rain tapping against my apartment window. It was one of those cold, heavy rains that seemed to wash the whole world clean. Everything except the ache inside your chest. I had just finished transferring the last installment for my parents' mortgage. Checking the transaction before leaning back in my chair, another month's worth of hard work gone in a click. I didn't mind. I never had. Supporting them gave me purpose. I told myself that the long hours at work, the skipped meals, the sleepless nights, all of it meant something. I wasn't rich, but I was proud that I could give them stability. That's what family was for, right? I poured myself a cup of instant coffee, letting the steam warm my face. My phone buzzed on the table, an unfamiliar name flashing across the screen's Uncle Raymond. I hadn't spoken to him in years, not since he'd argued with my parents and disappeared from family gatherings. I almost ignored it, but curiosity tugged at me. There was no message, just a single video file. The title read, "You deserve to know." My stomach tightened. For a moment, I hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen. Then I pressed play. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. The camera was shaky, capturing the inside of my parents' living room. My mother sat on the couch with a mug in her hand, my father beside her, and my younger sister sprawled across the armrest, scrolling through her phone. They looked comfortable, happy, familiar. Then my name came up. "He's always acting like he's some kind of hero," my mother said, chuckling, "just because he sends money every month." My father laughed, shaking his head. "Yeah, like we couldn't survive without him. He's such a burden sometimes. Always guilt, tripping us with that, 'I'm doing my best for you' nonsense." My sister looked up and smirked. "He's so dramatic. Remember when he cried because he thought we didn't appreciate him? Honestly, he's just pathetic." Laughter filled the room. My laughter, my family's laughter, but not the kind that warms a home. This one sliced through me like cold glass. I froze. The cup in my hand slipped, shattering on the floor. The coffee spread across the tiles, dark and bitter, just like the feeling crawling up my throat. The video kept playing, my brother's voice joining in from off camera. "Worthless burden," he said with a laugh. "That's what he is. A useless little ATM." Then silence. The clip ended abruptly. For a long moment, I just stood there, breathing hard, my reflection trembling in the black screen of my phone. The only sound left was the rain outside and my heartbeat thudding against my ribs. I replayed the video once, twice, again and again, hoping, praying that maybe I'd misheard. Maybe it was edited. Maybe this was some cruel joke. But every word was clear, every laugh painfully real. My chest ached in a way no words could describe. The people I had loved and sacrificed everything for, the ones I had believed were proud of me, had reduced me to nothing but a wallet with legs. Memories flooded back. My mother hugging me when I told her I'd pay off the mortgage. My father's proud smile when I sent money for repairs. My siblings calling me the best brother. Every gesture, every thank you, suddenly felt like a lie. The rain grew louder outside, matching the storm building in my chest. I sank to the floor beside the broken cup, my hands shaking. I had worked myself to exhaustion for people who saw me as a burden. That night, the rain didn't sound like peace anymore. It sounded like truth, cold, relentless, and impossible to unhear. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch with the glow of my phone, burning into the darkness, the video replaying in my mind long after I'd deleted it. My chest felt hollow, my throat raw. I tried convincing myself that maybe it wasn't real. Maybe Uncle Raymond had edited it somehow. Maybe there was an explanation. Families fight. Families say things they don't mean. But deep down, I already knew the truth. You can't fake that kind of laughter. By sunrise, I'd made up my mind. I needed to hear it from them. I called my mother first. She picked up on the third ring, her voice drowsy but warm. "Ethan, sweetheart, it's early. Is everything okay?" Her tone twisted the knife. I swallowed hard. "Mom, I got a video from Uncle Raymond last night. He sent me something of you all talking about me." There was a sharp pause, then a forced laugh. "Oh, Ethan, you know how your uncle is, always trying to cause trouble. What did he send you this time?" "A video of you calling me a burden." The words tasted like metal. "All of you." Silence. I could hear her breathing, shallow and uneven. Then her voice dropped, softer now, trembling. "He must have edited it. You know he hates us. He's been bitter since your father stopped helping him with money. Don't lie to me." I whispered, I heard your voices. I heard Dad. I heard everyone. My father's voice came on the line suddenly, gruff and defensive. Listen, Ethan, don't let that man manipulate you. He's jealous you turned out successful. He's trying to drive a wedge between us. But their denials felt rehearsed, brittle. The kind of lies people tell when they're trying to build a wall of words to hide behind. I'll talk to you later. I muttered and ended the call. The next few days were a blur. I went to work, pretended to function, but inside I was unraveling. I checked my bank records, scrolling through years of transactions, mortgage payments, repairs, tuition fees for my sister, even cash transfers labeled, just for groceries. It added up to more than I wanted to admit. That's when I noticed something strange. One of the mortgage payments had been redirected a few months ago. Not to the bank, but to a private account under my father's name. Another, emergency transfer, my mother had asked for supposedly for medical tests, had gone to my brother's online gaming account. I stared at the numbers numb. That night, Uncle Raymond called. I didn't want to answer, but curiosity won. You saw the truth, he said simply. Did they deny it? Yes, I said quietly. They said you made it up. He chuckled bitterly. Of course they did. They always need someone to blame. You're not the first person they've used. I frowned. What do you mean? I used to help them, too, he said. Before you started sending money, I paid their bills. When I stopped, they turned on me. They said I was selfish, ungrateful. Sound familiar? My throat tightened. Why send me that video now? Because I saw you turning into me, he replied. And I didn't want you to waste another decade thinking loyalty is the same as love. After he hung up, I sat there in the dark, surrounded by proof, bank records, lies, and the echo of that cruel laughter. The people I had believed were my whole world had built their comfort on my blind devotion. I looked around my tiny apartment, the one I'd barely furnished, because I was always sending money home. For the first time, it didn't feel like a small space. It felt like freedom waiting to be claimed. The truth hurt, but beneath that pain was something sharper, cleaner. The first cut of clarity. And in that silence, one thought echoed clearly in my mind. They'd taken enough from me. The morning after I uncovered the truth, something inside me changed. It wasn't sudden. It was quiet, almost still, like the calm that settles right before a storm breaks. For the first time in years, I didn't send any money home. I didn't check my messages, didn't reply to my mother's calls, didn't apologize for things I hadn't done. The silence from my end must have been deafening for them, because by the end of the week, the texts began pouring in. Mom, Ethan, sweetheart, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Can we talk? Dad, your mother's upset. Don't let your uncle ruin our family. Sister, we were joking. Ethan, don't be so sensitive. You always overreact. Each message felt like an old chain rattling against my skin. Guilt, obligation, duty. Words they had used all my life to keep me tethered. But this time I didn't respond. I stopped working extra shifts. I quit the job that had been draining me dry. The one I'd only kept to afford their comfort. For years, I'd put my own dreams on hold because I thought family came first. But when that foundation cracked, I realized something painful and liberating. I had never been part of a family. I had been a financial plan wearing a son's face. I packed my things, left my cramped apartment, and moved to a small coastal town 2 hours away. It wasn't much, one bedroom, peeling paint, and the smell of salt in the air. But it was mine. For once, the space didn't remind me of anyone but myself. I enrolled in a design course at a nearby institute, something I'd always loved, but never pursued because it wasn't practical. My hands trembled the first day I walked into that classroom. I was surrounded by strangers half my age, people chasing dreams I'd buried long ago. But when I sat down and sketched my first design in years, I felt something I hadn't felt since childhood. Peace. Weeks turned into months. My savings began to shrink, but my spirit didn't. I took freelance work, designing small spaces for local cafes and rental homes. The pay wasn't great at first, but the satisfaction was pure. Every project I finished was another brick laid in the foundation of a life that finally belonged to me. Back home, the silence I gave them turned into desperation. They began calling from new numbers, leaving voicemails that shifted from guilt to anger and back again. You're abandoning us. After all we sacrificed for you, who can't pay the mortgage without your help. Each word used to sting. Now, it only reminded me of why I had to walk away. I didn't hate them. Not anymore. I pitied them. They had built their comfort on a lie, and now that lie was collapsing. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, I sat by the shore sketching for a new client. Uncle Raymond appeared beside me, holding 2 cups of coffee. He'd become something like a mentor, quietly watching me rebuild what my family had broken. "You're healing," he said softly, handing me a cup. "I'm trying," I replied. "Some days I still miss them." "You don't miss them," he said. "You miss who you thought they were." I stared out at the waves, the truth of his words sinking deep. The ocean looked endless, and for the first time, I felt like maybe my life could be, too. My phone buzzed beside me. Another message from home. I didn't even look at it this time. I turned it off, placed it face down, and smiled faintly. This silence wasn't loneliness anymore. It was freedom. 2 years passed before I set foot in my hometown again. In those 2 years, I learned how to breathe without guilt, how to live without apology, and how to build something that belonged only to me. My design company had grown, slowly at first, then all at once. One of my eco-interior projects had gone viral online, and work began pouring in. I hired a small team, opened a studio by the sea, and for the first time I wasn't surviving. I was living. Still, some nights, when the wind outside my apartment carried the smell of rain, I'd remember that night. The video, the laughter, the way my world had cracked. But instead of pain, it brought a strange calm. That moment had freed me. When Uncle Raymond called and said, "Your parents' house is up for sale," I knew what I had to do. I didn't go to gloat or punish. At least, that's what I told myself. I went to close the chapter, to see with my own eyes what my absence had done. The house looked smaller than I remembered. The white paint had faded, and the yard was unkempt. My mother opened the door first. Her eyes widened when she saw me, and for a moment, all the practiced lies and pride melted away. "Ethan," she whispered, voice trembling. "You came back." My father appeared behind her, thinner, older, the weight of stress carved into his face. "We didn't think you'd come," he said quietly. "I almost didn't," I replied. They invited me in. The living room, once full of warmth, now felt cold, stripped of life. My siblings sat on the couch, avoiding my gaze. The silence was thick enough to choke on. Mom finally spoke. "Ethan, about everything that happened. We were wrong. We shouldn't have said those things." I didn't reply. I just looked around. At the peeling wallpaper, the unpaid bills stacked on the counter, the emptiness of a home that had once echoed with laughter. The silence was its own confession. My father cleared his throat. "With thought maybe you could help again. Just until things get better. We can start over, son." For a moment, I almost pitied them. Almost. I took a slow breath and said, "Do you remember that night? The one in the video?" My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Ethan, please." "No, I want you to remember it," I said softly. "Because that night, you all laughed while calling me a burden. But now, you understand what a burden really is, don't you?" My sister's face crumpled. "We didn't mean it, Ethan. We were stupid." I smiled faintly. "You were honest." Maybe for the first time, they started talking all at once. Apologies, excuses, promises of change. But the words no longer had power. I'd spent too long drowning in them. "I'm not here to fix things," I said finally. "I came to say goodbye properly." My mother reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "I was never your burden," I said quietly. "You were mine, and I've finally let go." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument could have been. I walked to the door, pausing just before stepping out. Uncle Raymond was right. I added without turning around. Love shouldn't come with receipts. When I stepped outside, the air felt cleaner, lighter, the way it does after a long, hard storm finally ends. Uncle Raymond was waiting by his car, a knowing smile on his face. "Did you get your closure?" he asked. I nodded. "I think closure isn't about ending something," I said. "It's about walking away without hate." He chuckled. "Then you've truly won." As we drove away, I looked at the fading silhouette of the house in the rear view mirror. The place that had once defined me, now nothing more than a shadow. My revenge hadn't been about money or humiliation. It was the simple, undeniable peace of no longer needing their approval. And for the first time in my life, that peace felt sweeter than any apology ever could.